Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My friends and I will give you some information about Pidgin and Creole languages. So, I start with an overview of these languages. Pidgin and Creole languages are very strict in the world. They show up on all continents. Most of them appear when colonial forces come into contact with the neighboring populations on a global scale. These languages are used in one-third of the world due to the adjustments made to the political and social surroundings of the spoken language community. Today, there are over 100 Pidgin and Creole languages in use around the world. In fact, most Pidgin and Creole are based on European languages, typically English, Spanish, and French. They are slightly different because their origins are related to specific social events and language families. Most of them can be identified as Pidgin and Creole. They are still used or recorded or have a history of no more than 2 centuries. They are created in Old English, Chinese, or Russian, and are difficult to master in Pidgin and Creole. Although these languages are relatively rare, they can be easily derived from recent social history, language structure, and the latest language success. So now let's move firstly to what is a pidgin in particular. Many pidgin were created during the 17th century, 18th and 19th centuries, and most of them are seen appearing in the trading colonies. A pidgin is a limited language that is used between groups of people who don't share the same language in order to communicate. Generally, it is those who have more strength and who are powerful who impose words of their languages on the other group which is less strong, and it develops when they need verbal means of communication, perhaps for business. But no group learns another group's mother tongue for social reasons, which may include lack of trust or close contact. What characterizes pidgin languages? Pidgin can be developed and became the native language used by the new generation, which is what called the Creole. So how can we know that a language is a pidgin and not a Creole? We have deduced four main characteristics from some studies, which are Pidgin has no native speakers. It is also a language with reduced grammatical structures. Pidgin does not contain a large vocabulary and arrives very quickly.
See some examples about pidgin languages. First example, we have Hawaiian pidgin English, like house I stay go in Japan time. In English, we say house I stay go in Japan time. Another sentence, only to yummy I stay work hard. In English is only 2 years me I stay work hard. Let's move to the second example. West African Pidgin English is used among severe ethnic groups along the West African coast, like the following words: fufu, which means stark food, bubu, which means little boy. The map below shows the distribution of pidgin languages in the world based on Deutsch, French, Italian, etc. Now, I'm gonna introduce to you how to form a pidgin language and what is pidginization. To form a pidgin language, a procedure is done by simplifying the language of communication and the use of linguistic common points. This is called pidginization. Pidginization is an oral and limited process as said previously. The way in which this language is employed involves, when speaking, the use of basic terms, the elimination or reduction of prepositions. Gesture and memes can also be part of this process.
Now we move to the second part of this subject, which is about a Creole in order to distinguish between the two sociolinguistic phenomena. Let's see the definition of Creole according to these two scholars. So Siegel said, when the pidgin takes the place of a community's primary language and their children grow up with it and acquire it as their mother tongue, it is then called a Creole. And for Ramin, the development from pidgin into Creole involves an expansion of expressive forces in response to communicative needs. So, around 16th century, Spain and Portugal used for the first time the term Creole in the American colonies. Creole language is a sociolinguistic phenomenon which is formed from a mixture of different languages and then developed to be a mother tongue acquired by the second generation. Unlike Pidgin, Creole is used in all domains of life, for instance with the family at home. And for the second step is what characterizes Creole languages. According to Siegel, Creoles have a full lexicon and a complex set of grammatical rules. Creole is often characterized by the four following points. Pidgin originated, developed grammar and structure, developed vocabulary, and last one is native language. Now let's state some examples of Creole language. It exists several Creole languages with different Creole words that have been used by different cultures around the world. Among them, Indian Ocean Creole languages are based on a combination of European and Asian languages. Atlantic Creole languages are largely based on a combination of European and African languages. In the first example, we have the Haitian Creole. It is largely based on French and African languages and is spoken by 8.5 million people in Haitian. It is one of the official languages of Haiti. The Haitian Creole alphabet or alphabet Creole is made up of 32 letters of combinations of letters that each produce a unique sound like U is a vowel called un and is pronounced like the U in the English word like pool. Z is called Z and is pronounced. In the second example, we have the Belize Creole language. The Creole language spoken in Belize is known to natives as Belize Creole and uses a phonetic writing system. Unlike many other Creole languages, Belize Creole is an English-based language. The slaves of Belize merged their language with English spoken by slaves owners to create a new language. Most Belizeans speak Creole in addition to English and Spanish like in Creole, it is pronounced like the in father, only drawn out longer. The letter C is never used alone in Creole. Let's see some words and phrases as example of Creole languages. So we have Haiti in the Haitian Creole means mountainous land. Bondi in the Haitian Creole means God. Bonjour in the Haitian Creole means hello. Daydak in the Creolese that means the dark. Elaba in Louisiana Creole means hi there. And last one is has in Belize Creole means horse. And for creolization is the process by which Creole languages are formed and used by developing a pidgin's characteristics. To conclude, from the study of these two sociolinguistic phenomena, we notice that a pidgin is the means of communication used by two parts of people who do not speak the same language. From that, when the rules of the correct grammar are applied on that language, a new language is born with all the criteria of real language called Creole. We therefore deduce from the research that Pidgin and Creole are the same family separated by time and the modernization of their forms and their ways of being created. Pidgin has a grammar of limited stage and used by a first generation, while Creole is used by the generation which is followed and spoken as a primary and also as a mother tongue. As last point, there is also an important thing to add, which is about the exception of the cases when Pidgin does not become a Creole and which is considered just as a second language by the second generation. That is to say, they will not have native Creole language. This is due to the circumstance like the failure of colonization or because of a non-continuous commerce.
That's all for our presentation. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.